Support for Steppin Out comes in part from the Kristovich family in honor of Mary Lou and Bill Kristovich. This program is sponsored in part by the Eugenie and Joseph Jones Family Foundation, a local foundation proud to support the arts and culture in the greater New Orleans area.
Good evening. I'm Peggy Scott Laborde, and welcome to Steppin Out, spotlighting the New Orleans area's arts and entertainment scene. Seated at our table tonight, author Miki Pfeffer, here to tell us about her brand new book, A New Orleans Author in Mark Twain's Court, Letters from Grace King's New England Sojourns. Welcome, Miki. So nice to see you. Chef Guy Sockrider Jr., and we're so glad to see him, executive chef of Briquette restaurant, here to tell us about a special dinner coming up. Welcome, Chef. Hello. WWL-TV's film critic, Alfred Richard. Hey, Alfred.
Hello, Peggy.
And he's going to share with us some new films on his radar. And Alan Smason of Crescent City Jewish News and TheaterCriticism.com. Hey, Poppy will be back with us soon. But first up, Chef Key. You've got this special meal, and thankfully this is so kind because it's in honor of WYES coming up next week. Tell us about the Season of Good Taste meal.
Well, we're going to start with our scallop appetizer. It's fresh diver scallops from Montauk Point, Long Island, that are flown into us. It's going to be served on a goat cheese grit cake.
Oh, I think we've got a picture of that we'll have to show.
I believe so. And then a Chardonnay butter sauce on top of that.
Okay.
And then the next course will be a jumbo lump crab sherried bisque. And then the next course is a roast breast of duck with a Madeira and foie gras sauce.
Oof. Sounds good.
And then the entree is going to be a roast rack of Colorado lamb with a Dijon and oregano Chardonnay sauce with pork belly plantain mashed as an accompaniment. And then we're doing an espresso panna cotta for dessert from Community Coffee.
That sounds great. And that's Tuesday, December 3rd, coming up, and we're thrilled about that, to say the least. And you are in the most wonderful building, too, aren't you? It's an old molasses factory, Briquette, in what we call the warehouse district, South Peters and Girard.
Right.
Yeah,
really it's a beautiful restaurant.
Magnificently restored. Overall, just if somebody hasn't had a chance yet to visit Briquette, what would you determine the style? What are you trying to achieve there?
Well, we call it coastal seafood. We bring in a lot of fish from the Gulf and we roast them whole and serve them whole, head to tail.
Ooh, sounds good. And that's the Tusa family who've been involved with New Orleans cuisine and regional, too, in Destin as well, huh?
Right, right. They have a couple restaurants in Destin. But we also serve prime steaks and chops. We have a roast duck on the menu that's very popular. We cover all spectrums of, it's not just seafood, but we primarily sell a lot of seafood.
And lunch and dinner. So that's
lunch
good.
And dinner.
Lunch and dinner. What are some of your favorite other dishes? I know that the menu's pretty big. Do you have some favorites?
It is. Well, we do a prime ribeye that's fantastic. We sell a lot of them. It's a 14-ounce ribeye, and we crust it with rosemary and black peppercorns, and we grill it over briquettes.
And briquettes, hence the name, right?
I bring in fresh seafood from all over the world. I get turbot from the North Sea 3 times a week, bronzino from Greece, local red snapper. I work with 4 or 5 different fresh fishermen that bring me their catch every day. And we do quite well with that. When Alaskan halibut's in season, we have Alaskan halibut. When it's not, I get it from Norway. Our salmon comes from Belgium.
Wow.
It's because I don't want to serve farm-raised salmon. I want wild salmon. It's a much better flavor. We have catfish, but it comes from Des Allemands, Louisiana. The best catfish you can get.
Love that. Well, Chef, thank you so much. And it's a wonderful, I've dined there, of course, and enjoyed it very much. And it's a beautiful place, too.
It is. The owner did a great job. Anthony Tusa did a great job with building it out, and the decor is fantastic.
Thank you. And once again, you can go to WYES.org to get more information about that special meal where the proceeds benefit WYES. I'm glad you're here with us today. Thank you. And Miki, how many years did this book take? Because I so admire you are a primary researcher. You didn't just like, oh, let's get this out of a book. You go to the source. I think that Grace King is one of those underappreciated New Orleans writers, but she had some pretty fancy friends, didn't she?
Yes, she did. One in particular, a family in particular, Mark Twain. A lot of people know that she had, who know Grace King, know that she had a friendship with Mark Twain, but don't know the extent of it or the nature of it. They were very close.
And let me just point out, excuse me, these are the sisters, the King sisters,
yes,
not the music
King
group,
sisters,
right?
Nan,
and
Nina, and Grace on the right.
Yes.
The unmarried sisters who lived together until they died.
And then, of course, a very famous family here.
Yes.
Yes.
That's Clara and Olivia, Mark Twain's wife, and Samuel Clemens himself. And Grace King met them in 1887, became intimately friendly with them because they lived next door to her mentor in Hartford, Connecticut, who was Charles Dudley Warner.
Yes, no slouch himself.
Right. A well-known editor and writer himself. And she met the Clemenses and their 3 daughters, and they all became friends. Olivia and Grace King were very intimate, confident friends who told each other special secrets and joys and mourned losses together, shared their readings. So she saw Mark Twain as the loving husband and father, that the man shows through, Sam Clemens.
Well, and of traveling around, it's funny, I tended to think of Grace King as staying put, but she really didn't.
No, she was very much a New Orleans woman. It was her beloved city, and she spent a lot of time here, but she also traveled quite a bit.
And to Europe, too.
Yes, yes. She visited the Clemenses when they were in Florence in 1892. She visited them at their villa outside of Florence.
And you're going to be signing your book next week at Arcadian, which is a lovely little bookshop in the quarter.
It's a really special bookstore.
It's so, and I think it's underappreciated.
I know.
too. You know. But so you'll be there next week, and then I know you also have a website, and so for more information and keep track, of what you're up to over the next few weeks with your signings. Now, you also have many other areas of interest. And I do remember when you spent quite a while researching the 1884 World's Fair, the women's exhibit specifically, which was really ahead of its time, wasn't it?
And that is where I encountered Grace King and her career.
And show us this other
her
book,
career comes directly out of the Cotton Centennial.
I will hold this up. Okay. Okay. There you go. Yeah.
Out of the Cotton Centennial Exposition. That's
Southern Ladies and Suffragettes.
Right.
Okay.
That's where I first encountered her letters, and they were so snarky and gossipy and full of all kinds of New Orleans secrets that I thought, I will come back to this woman. And so when this one was on its way, then I went back and started transcribing.
And a lot of folks don't realize that Julia Ward Howe, the famous Julia Ward Howe, was actually enlisted to put together this women's exhibit.
Right. And she is the one who introduced Grace King to Charles Dudley Warner and another editor who was in town. She introduced Grace King through her. She revived a literary club, the Pan-Gnostics, and Grace King was part of that. But she had not written yet. She had not written a story until after the the fair. So her career was generated.
It shows you how
at
important
that time.
mentors are.
Oh,
doesn't it?
absolutely. And one of the things Grace King said was it wasn't the exhibits that were important, it was the people who came.
Yes, absolutely. I remember one time seeing a quilt at the 1984 World's Fair was on display from the 1884 fair, which of course was at Audubon Park, the 1884 fair. Some folks perhaps don't recall, but the media, I don't know if you all remember the whole thing about the meteorite. There's this rock. We all grew up with the meteor. It was supposed to be a meteorite, and it was really a rock, a leftover vestige from one of the mineral exhibits. But anyway, congratulations.
Thank you.
And what a beautiful book, and I know many years in the making.
Yes, but a total pleasure.
A total pleasure. Well, thank you. And New Orleans Magazine's quiz queen, Julia Street, has a question for us. Last time, Matt Grayson told us what former Saints quarterback played college football, of course, and that was what college was it? It was Ole Miss. And, of course, where is Ole Miss located? Oxford. And we're talking about Archie Manning playing at Ole Miss. And beautiful Oxford, Mississippi. Now, tonight's question. The football teams of these two universities play each other every year on Thanksgiving weekend. Who are they, and what towns are they located? Email your answers to steppinout@wyes.org. Our prizes: a year subscription to Louisiana Life magazine, a pair of free admission passes to either the Audubon Zoo, Aquarium of the Americas, or the Butterfly Garden and Insectarium. By the way, a new colony of honeypot ants are now featured at the Audubon Butterfly Garden. New, right? In Insectarium, they are on display, you know, in the main hall, and that's in the Customs House, of course, on Canal Street, across from the Leaf Cutter Ant exhibit. We also have a pair of complimentary French Quarter walking tour tickets, courtesy of the Friends of the Cabildo. Tours run daily and begin at the 1850 House Museum store. That's right there at 523 St. Anne, right by the cathedral. Go to friendsofthecabildo.org for more information. And you can go to wyes.org/steppinout for our online calendar, including the Jingle Bells and Beer event at the New Orleans City Park, taking place tomorrow, and that's from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. Of course, Celebration of the Oaks is opening soon, and the event features live music, amusements, park rides, an ugly holiday sweater contest, food and crafts, and domestic beers. Tickets start at just $35 and are still available. Go to neworleancitypark.com/calendar for details. You can also link to our WYES YouTube channel to see our program. Now, Alfred.
All right.
All right.
So
tell us about what you're wearing. Your little
my little
lapel
here.
on your
lapel. Oh, the first one, of course, the top one is being a member of those ordinary men with extraordinary moves, the 6'10" Stompers, and we are going to be preparing for a little trek in a few days. That's going to be my pick for the week. And the other one is a little picture of Peter Mayhew's character Chewbacca. And I was a very good family friend of Peter Mayhew. He passed. Star Wars, of course. He passed a few months ago, and so I decided to wear this in honor of the Wookiee.
And the tie too, no doubt.
And of course the tie, the Millennium Falcon. If the tie gets in the hands of the Empire, all may be lost.
Right.
But we have
movies.
We have some movies that have, in a weird way, New Orleans connections and others. Follow me along on this one here first. The first film is one that was shown at the New Orleans Film Festival. Here's my ticket to prove I was there for it. It was one of the spotlight films for the festival. This is a big one, Ford versus Ferrari. And this is the battle between the Ford Motor Company and Enzo Ferrari. And this is set in the 1960s when Ferrari was running roughshod over Le Mans, and Henry Ford II said he wanted to win in Le Mans. So he goes to Carroll Shelby, played by Matt Damon, as the man who can help create the car that can win at Le Mans. And it is Christian Bale, who is the driver. He is a very, shall we say, high-strung individual who is the driver of the car, who helps design and create the car. The chemistry between the two is amazing, and it reminded me so much of classic films such as Le Mans with Steve McQueen, Grand Prix, which came out in the 60s as well. It is excellent. Matt Damon, Christian Bale together. I have a feeling this one's going to be an Oscar contender, and it's doing extraordinarily well there. But again, it was a spotlight at the New Orleans Film Festival. Now, the next film, in a way, is the gang getting back together. And how this ties in New Orleans, our good friend Danny O'Flaherty is coming back to perform on December 1st at the Esplanade Studios for his holiday concert. But we have a Christmas present from Martin Scorsese. It's called The Irishman, and this is, I would say, one of his best films. He's had a number of great films over the years, but this one puts all of his actors together. You have Robert De Niro, who plays Frank Sheeran. Al Pacino plays...
Is that Al Pacino in the center there?
Al Pacino in the center. He plays Jimmy Hoffa.
Wow.
They use a special technique to sort of age down the actors to make them a little younger, but you still have all the great work. And back from retirement, Joe Pesci. Joe Pesci back in there as well. You also have Bobby Cannavale, Anna Paquin. If you remember, she's all grown up now. Ray Romano.
Oh, man.
Yes, everyone loves Raymond, but they really love this one. It's about the historical workings of the Buffalino crime family, ranging from World War II to the disappearance of Jimmy Hoffa. But again, it is all those great traits from Martin Scorsese. But I will say this, it is a long one. It is a 209-minute film. So it's well over almost 3.5 hours. I say go see it, but pack a lunch, or possibly go over to Briquette, get something to eat first, and then go see that movie. See how we tie that in there. And the next try is one we talk about public TV, WYES as well. Everyone remembers Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. Well, when this one was being prepared, I knew this was going to be a good one. And Tom Hanks takes on the role of Fred Rogers as Mr. Rogers in A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. Look at that. You look at that picture and you think,
amazing.
It's amazing how much he looks like the late Fred Rogers. It is how Rogers, his character, and how he influences so many other people there. And he was always a wonderful individual. And this film shows that Tom Hanks will probably get strong consideration for... This is going to be a really tough year to pick Oscar nominees for Best Actor, because I mentioned you could have Matt Damon, you could have Robert De Niro, or Al Pacino. You could have Tom Hanks. This is going to be a really tough year, but this is an excellent film for those who remember what it was like to watch Mr. Rogers, especially in WYES.
Thank you. Very good the way you tie that up. So
all tied in there. Yes, the symmetry works.
And now it's time for our Artist Spotlight. Tonight we are featuring the work of Mr. Bates. And look at that, David Bates, Ice, Bait, and Beer. And where he's over at, look at Mending Nets #1 by David Bates. And of course, this is all at Arthur Roger Gallery. I love that. What a real focus on our fishing industry there. We have St. Anne Church in the fall. And his exhibit, The Coast, will be on view at Arthur Roger Gallery through December the 21st. For more info, you can go to arthurrogergallery.com. Now, Alan.
Well, you know, last week I opened the show with a recommendation that everyone should go see Dark Nights the Musical. This is by Yotam Baum, who's an Israeli but also a Canadian, and El Kalo Gal. Yes, this is the first musical that UNO has done in 20 years, and they're really doing so with the help of their music department. But no, this is not about Batman, Alfred. This night is spelled without a K.
That's what I was going to ask you.
This is an entire student production, and it's better than just standard student fare. The reason is that the composer and the librettist actually worked together 5 years ago when they were both on the faculty at Champlain College in Quebec. The music and the lyrics remind me very much evocative of Spring Awakening, with a touch of Rent thrown in for good measure. As a matter of fact, I talked to Yotam. He said he was really inspired to write this after he had experienced Hair. So all of that. Dark Nights the Musical. The cast is led by the amazing Rachel Morris as Alyssa. And she's an older teen who's attempting to care for her 14-year-old sister following the death of their mother. Rachel really carries much of the weight of the musical, and it follows that she touches on so many different things, including acceptance. There's, of course, instances of drug use, peer pressure, and first love. And, of course, the story, of course, deals with loyalty and disloyalty. Reagan Rosas plays the younger sister, Nicole, and the cast is really directed by Kalo Gao to really be at all different areas of the NIMS theater. The blocking was amazing, but also the choreography by Emily Bagwell was also outstanding. This is the first time she's actually done choreography, and it's outstanding again.
Actress too.
Now, this show can stand up to many of the offerings that are right now currently on off-Broadway. It's well executed. The music is a live 5-piece band from the UNO Music Department, and the really talented voices of the ensemble really carry it off. Dark Night deals with the consequences of really trying to be an adult when one is really just still a kid, and the poor choices that can be made during those years. The show has tremendous legs. This is the world premiere. I predict it will be more than just seen here on the stages of UNO, but for some time to come, I think we're going to see this. Go see the final show tomorrow. Unfortunately, it is the final show. But again, Dark Nights the Musical, hats off to UNO, hats off to Kalo Gao, and of course, Yotam Baum, and all the kids who are doing such a tremendous job. Meanwhile, last year on stage at Le Petit, we saw Bob Eads Jr. lead a cast directed by Maxwell Williams of the Christmas Carol. You know, that's the basic carol, of course, being, you know, the wonderful Christmas story that Dickens had first started. But this is a really tremendous production. The entire cast of performers includes the entire family of Sean Patterson, Cammie West, and Finnan Patterson, as well as Zeb Collins, Kate Kuhn, John Neisler, Curtis Billings, Julia Delois, and Mary Pauley, just to name some of the many people who are so talented. Also, members of the Youth Conservatory will be on hand. It's a very often told holiday tale, but this one is one that's very special. The lighting, the sound are all really wonderfully done, and I have to tell you, this show is not really for young kids. Now, I wouldn't bring the ones that are 3 or 4, but I definitely would say the ones that are 7 and 8 and above will really enjoy this. It is scary, as a good Christmas Carol should be. Again, that's from December the 6th to the 23rd. That's coming up. And for those of you planning on attending the December 14th show, perhaps you might consider buying a ticket for their Fête de Fezziwig. That's, of course, named after the Fezziwig family from Christmas Carol. And the tickets are $175, but it goes to benefit the theater there. Plus, you also get a ticket to that 2 o'clock performance on December the 14th. So keep that in mind, too. Also, you know, we've got a number of things that are going on. I wanted to, you know, just mention beyond that, we've got a thing going on with Tommy Myrick, Tommy Myrick, I should say. She's putting on her first Transcripts. This is a show that really started its run at the Always Theater on St. Claude. Transcripts are not unlike Native Tongues. If you remember Native Tongues, yes, they were culled from interviews that were done with real people. Well, this is the same thing. These are transgender women who document their journey and their stories of their lives. It's based on real people who have transitioned and are being performed on stage by other transgender actors. The controversial nature of this production cannot be understated, but it is a topic that is being discussed across the nation and debated. Of course, this show has only a few performances left, and while I haven't seen it yet, I believe it will be a very interesting show and very compelling. And by the way, this is part 1. Next year, we will see part 2, the men. This is the women this time. Okay. And again, that's Transcripts over at the Always.
And I know you definitely wanted to do a quick mention of the Merry Canteen Christmas.
Yeah, that, you know, unfortunately, I was looking for that when I went to go for it. The Stage Door Canteen at BB Stage Door Canteen, they're having their Christmas show, as they always do every year. This time it's a Merry Canteen Christmas, and the show is so big, they actually have 2 casts this year. This was taken from last year's show, which had Christian Tarzetti in the center there, but a number of people will be back, and again, they have a red cast and a green cast. It features 6 bells. Bryce Slocum will be in most of the shows, as he was in White Christmas at JPS last year. He'll be the male lead in 18 out of the 22 shows. Again, it's going to be a fantastic offering, and I'll be reviewing it very shortly.
All right, thank you so much. And now time for our picks. Miki. Once again, your website?
Yes, my website is MikiPfefferAuthor.com, and if you have a group that or a book club who wants me to come and talk, I'll be happy to do that.
That's a good offer. Thank you, Chef Key.
Thanksgiving is coming up, and we're doing a traditional 3-course Thanksgiving dinner at the restaurant. We're open from 10 to 8.
All right, sounds
And we'll
good.
be featuring turkey. We will have our
will
whole
have
roasted
turkey.
fish at the same time.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you, Alfred.
And after you've had your Thanksgiving dinner, you can turn on to NBC. It's one of the few times you'll hear me talk about another network and watch those ordinary men with extraordinary moves. The 610 Stompers performing for the 3rd time at the Macy's Thanksgiving Day
That's a
Parade.
real honor. That's a real
It's amazing
honor.
doing the three-peat. I never dreamt that I would be doing it for a 3rd time.
Okay, Alan.
Finally, I want to urge everyone who's not at the memorial concert tonight for Lee Harris, Little Queenie, that they should show up tomorrow at the Marigny Opera House. They're going to have a memorial service starting at 1 o'clock at the Marigny Opera House on Ferdinand Street. And then at 3 o'clock, it'll be time to send the Queen off in regal New Orleans style with a second line.
All right, thank you. Now time for my picks. Ara's Love Foundation's Pancreatic Cancer and Lupus Awareness Jazz and Blues Brunch takes place tomorrow at 10 a.m. at Corpus Christi Community Center. That's right on St. Bernard Avenue. It is in memory of bassist George Porter Jr.'s late wife, Ara. And the event will feature live entertainment by the Ara's Love Trio and will also feature special guests such as singers Sharon Martin, Barbara Shorts, and Wanda Ruzan. Tickets start at just $15, and to purchase them, visit araslovefoundation.rsvpify.com. Also tomorrow, Catherine Clemitis, very talented artist, she's on to the right, of KAK Art and Designs, and Yvonne Crummins will be signing their brand new book, Breed All About Us. Wonderful canine portraits, canine expressions of art and voice at 2 different locations. They'll be signing at Pet Cetera on Magazine Street from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. and then later at NOLA Bark Market from 2 to 4 p.m. on North Rampart Street. To see more of Catherine's art and jewelry, visit kakartnola.com. Great jewelry. I'm a real fan of her jewelry and her art. The 10th anniversary of the St. Catherine's Day, by the way, that's St. Catherine of Alexandria as opposed to Siena. Okay. The Hat Parade takes place this Sunday at 10:30 a.m. This year's theme is Hat on a Hot Tin Roof, Alan. Okay. Stroll the short uptown sidewalk route by meeting at the corner of St. Charles Avenue and Pleasant Street around 10:15 a.m. Wear a hat that you've decorated, made, or bought. And for more info or to donate to help keep participation free, visit hatnola.com. Camellia Brand will be hosting their Gather Round Thanksgiving event Monday, November 25th. It's this Monday from 11:30 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. outside of the New Orleans Culinary and Hospitality Institute right there on Howard Avenue. There will be complimentary red beans and rice served at the 120-foot community table. Visit CameliaBrand.com for more info. The Poitras Home Holiday Tree Lighting and Music Festival will take place on Thursday, December the 5th. Patron party takes place from 6 to 8 p.m. inside Poitras Home's beautiful, historic 1857 hall. At 7 o'clock that same evening, the home's Magazine Street gate will open up as patrons and the public are welcomed for free to hear holiday favorites, of course, in gospel music. Enjoy hot cocoa and cookies and watch the 30-foot tall tree lighting at 7:30 p.m. More details next week, and we thank you all very much for being with us tonight, and thank you so much for watching. Good night.
This program is sponsored in part by the Eugenie and Joseph Jones Family Foundation, a local foundation proud to support the arts and culture in the greater New Orleans area. Support for Steppin Out comes in part from the Kristovich family in honor of Mary Lou and Bill Kristovich.